Mick and Hildy, junior high students in Catholic uniforms, wait in an office. A crucifix hangs over the door. Very little personalization. It's kind of a sad place. Hildy paces.
Will you relax?
I hate being in trouble.
We're not in trouble. Kaczynski's just being a wet blanket. We'll talk to Greeves. He won't listen to a thing we've got to say, and our protest lives to fight another day.
You think they'll let us keep going?
I mean, I don't think they can stop us. We're not doing anything wrong.
That's not what it feels like.
That's the beauty of a loophole. All the catharsis of rebellion, none of the consequences, and if Greeves gives us grief, we've got ammunition.
Mick, you're gonna get yourself expelled.
Hey, we're okay. Deep breaths.
Ah, Miss Brand, I didn't expect to see you here.
I thought I might forget what I wanted to say. She's my moral support.
You two really are attached at the hip. But let's get this done without further ado. What will it take to get you girls back in my classroom?
We brought some suggestions for changes to the curriculum.
Oh, I'm sure we can talk next year.
Next year.
Miss Brand, do not interrupt.
So you expect us to go our whole junior year without studying a single woman?
As I've said before, Emily Dickinson features heavily in the poetry section.
This is a girls' school? Maybe you didn't notice because you've got your head. You thought you'd roll up with a syllabus full of dudes and we weren't gonna care?
Those dudes are some of the greatest historical figures in the Western canon. You already abused your privileges to gloss over both Hawthorne and Miller.
Forgive me, sir, but we didn't abuse anything. We objected to the assignments and found an alternative, like it says in the handbook.
Exploiting the letter of the law. I admit you did your homework, but it's possible to find a loophole in anything, even down to the giving tree.
It's kind of
Messed up!
Mess up that the self-destructively selfless tree is a girl.
Thank you for somehow missing the point and making mine at the same time. Regardless, you can't replace the entire curriculum.
Well, do we know that, Hildy? Because I'm pretty sure we can.
And who do you think you could possibly substitute for Shakespeare? Afroben?
Ooh, how do you spell that?
Ugh, I never should have left Hendrick in.
You mean Mendrican?
You might make an effort to restrain your contempt, Miss Brand. Little wonder why you're only one black mark away from losing your scholarship.
We don't mean to be disrespectful, Mr. Greeves, but can you understand that when we saw your syllabus, we didn't feel respected?
I understand it as a knee-jerk reaction. But you girls are smarter than that. This material speaks to the universal, and to label it as male is shallow and honestly anti-intellectual. Besides, you'll be put on the back burner in college. Do feminist readings on them, if you like, but you can't avoid them.
What about Bronze, Virginia Woolf, Toni Morrison? Aren't they important to the canon?
Certainly, women have made contributions.
Such as?
Oh, no, I'm not giving you any more ideas.
Oh, really? I'm curious. Any women in your top 5?
Fine. Mary Shelley.
Oh my God.
What, you have a problem with Frankenstein as well?
Well, you managed to pick the only one that's about a bunch of guys.
Shelley was an innovator who supported her family with her writing, and her mother was the foremost feminist of her day. You want to talk female authors, there's a place to start.
Why can't you teach us that then? No one else is going to.
There's only so much we can cover in a year.
All the more reason to include diverse points of view. We know why you chose these books, but this isn't about individual choices. Like, If a company hires a white guy, that's not a statement. But when a whole company is white men, that says something, doesn't it?
You know what it says to me? They're afraid. Afraid to hear what someone else has got to say.
That's ridiculous. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't interested in your opinions.
Hey, prove it.
What do you want me to do? Toss Gatsby in a pyre?
Start with Fahrenheit 457, just for the irony.
This is not a laughing matter. You have two choices. Come back to class and complete the work I assign you, or fail.
But the handbook says we can.
You will not twist the rules in an infantile attempt to haze me.
Of course you think this is about you. God forbid we don't do anything motivated by a man.
You've clearly decided I'm some sort of chauvinist, and how you got that from my syllabus is beyond me. These are books that I want to teach to my daughter someday. And
Oh, God. He's got a daughter. Does she think the giving tree is a beautiful tale of generosity?
She's 3. She won't go near the giving tree because she thinks the author's photo is scary. Unless you're trying to imply something about my parenting.
That's not what she meant, and we're not saying you're misogynist.
If it quacks like a duck.
Mick, I love you, but for once in your life, shut up!
You've had your little tantrum, but I have a real child that needs my attention. I don't have time to read whatever inane drivel you've dug up.
I wouldn't call Octavia Butler a name. We had Sister Mary for English last year. She might be willing to do our grading.
This is not a negotiation, Miss Bishop. I understand you're something of a legacy at this school, but you can't just do whatever you want. That doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. And if you insist on following after Miss Brand, she'll drag you down with her.
Hey, pick on me if you want, but Hildy hasn't done a thing wrong in her life.
Is that so? The two of you aren't as slick as you think. I've heard the talk. I see how you move. Miss Brand makes a mess and Miss Bishop cleans it up. And we all ask ourselves, why? But I think we all know why, don't we?
All right. Asshole, take a step back.
That's a detention, Miss Brand.
What?
You know what? I bet the WPRI would find this whole thing fascinating. Picture it. News at 11. Local schoolgirls protest sexist curriculum.
No one at St. Dismas is going to support you.
And they're going to support you. You're such a pillar of virtue.
Don't.
See, Mr. Greaves, the talk goes both ways. And I hear through the good old Catholic grapevine that you and your wife don't live together.
She teaches at Brown. She didn't want to leave the city.
Oh, we know. We looked her up. Firing the Canon Early Women Writers. That's one of her classes, right? Stole a few ideas from her syllabus. She wants a divorce, doesn't she? That's going to go over just great with the fine parents of St. Dismas.
Don't talk about things you don't understand.
Is that why you don't teach women? To spite her?
No,
Or are you saying something you don't want to hear? When you read about women struggling against our oppressors, where do you see yourself?
She's the one who gave up, walked out her own daughter. You have no idea.
Me? I have no idea what it's like to be abandoned. Christ, your gossip hookup isn't even as good as you think.
Oh, I can't imagine why anybody would want to get away from you.
Hey!
It's not spite, but those books, to me, she's all over them. How can I teach like that?
And right on time. Freudian excuse.
Mick, I believe him.
For fuck's sake, Hildegard. This unadulterated lump of hypocrisy?
No, listen, it's fair. Not actually, but no one should have to hurt themselves for an English class. But, Mr. Greeves, we're hurt. We walked into your classroom already wounded, hoping we might see something that made us feel seen in return. When we didn't find it there, we decided to look for it ourselves. I really believe that the right books can change people's lives.
And what, in your opinion, are the right books?
Well, for me, it was Deerskin.
I'm not familiar.
It's not something you'd really find in a classroom. It starts kind of off like a St. Dimphna's story. A queen dies, driving her husband mad with grief. He lusts after his own daughter. The princess runs like Dymphna fled her father, but without the beheading. It's based off a fairy tale, so eventually it gets around to a happy ending, but it's not like that story either. It's not simple. It made me think that maybe the happy ending wasn't impossible. For years, I thought of pain as a condemnation, a death sentence. Reading Deerskin, it hurt. Cracked old wounds open like new. She made me see. Pain didn't have to be death. It could be healing. Deerskin may not be in the canon, but there's nothing inane about stories that teach girls how to live with the things that are done to them. That's what we're searching for, Mr. Greeves. Do you think that's what you're giving us?
I'll talk to Sister Mary.
Thank you.
Don't mention it. And I shouldn't have let that become personal. That was quite inappropriate.
We went a little overboard too.
Speak for yourself.
Okay, I think you went overboard.
Much better.
We're not. Just so you know.
It's none of my business.
Finally, something we agree on. Hey, Greeves. I can see why you relate to Frankenstein. It's all about a man who created a monster.
Remind me I still owe you a detention.
I asked you not to do that.
I can't help it, Hildy. That guy's a dick.
That doesn't mean you have to be a dick too.
It's probably a good thing I didn't meet him alone, huh?
Oh God, you would have killed each other. Do you really think they talk about us?
Don't let it bother you. Nuns love to gossip, that's all. And even if they do think it, they're not going to. I mean anything. I mean, everyone knows Craig is gay and nothing's happened to him.
Well, Craig is an ostentatiously celibate choir director. That is the favorite kind of the church's favorite kind of gay, straight up.
well, it doesn't matter. They don't know I'm bi, and when it comes to us, there's nothing to know.
Right. Absolutely nothing.
Deep breaths. Hey, how come you never told me about that book?
It's not the kind that's easy to talk about. I'll let you borrow it if you give me a ride home.
Sounds good. I'll grab the bike. And Hill, love you too.
Mick exits. Hildy watches her go, then looks up to the crucifix.
What's it like to be able to avoid the things that hurt you? Typical.